All right, let's do a little thought experiment. Picture yourself. Easy enough. Now, picture your parents, your grandparents. Now keep going, go way back. You'll fly past powdered wigs and knights in armor until, eventually, you land on someone, squatting in the dirt, maybe chewing on a beetle, whose only real goal is to not die before the sun goes down. That person? That's your direct ancestor. And they have absolutely no clue that you, with your Wi-Fi and your snack preferences, would ever even exist.
So when you think about that, you have to ask, right? How lucky are you to be here right now? It feels like you hit some kind of cosmic lottery, doesn't it? Well, what if I told you luck has absolutely nothing to do with it? See, the truth is way, way harsher. You exist because 1,000 generations of people who came before you didn't die when they absolutely should have. Every single person in your direct ancestral line survived. That's not luck. That is the result of violent coincidence and just sheer, stubborn survival.
So let's just take a look at how close you came, over and over and over again, to never being born at all. We're going to count down 5 of the absolute deadliest periods in human history, periods that your ancestors somehow, against all odds, managed to live through.
All right, kicking things off at number 5, the most survivable of the worst times to be born, the Ice Age.
So we're talking about 20,000 years ago, during what's called the last glacial maximum. Earth was not the cozy little blue marble you know today. We're talking about massive sheets of ice, 2 miles thick in some places, that just smothered huge chunks of the planet. The average global temperature dropped about 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which basically turned most of the world into a frozen wasteland where finding your next meal was a full-time job.
And here's the thing. The dangers were just constant. Your daily to-do list was basically one item: don't die. You were always on the verge of freezing to death or starving. For dinner? Oh yeah, sure, just go hunt a 6-ton woolly mammoth with, what, a pointy stick? And at the same time, you had to avoid being hunted yourself by giant cave lions. And forget modern medicine. A simple cut that got infected, that was a death sentence. Game over.
Coming in hot at number 4 is a disaster with a really fascinating twist. This one wasn't caused by ice or volcanoes. Nope. This one, we did to ourselves.
So about 10,000 years ago, we had this genius idea. Hey, instead of chasing our food, let's just make it grow right here. Welcome to the dawn of agriculture, which was also the moment humanity accidentally made life way, way harder. All of a sudden, people were crammed together in villages, which meant, for the very first time in history, diseases could spread like wildfire. And this just shows the trade-off perfectly. Our diets took a nosedive. We went from eating all kinds of high-protein, nutrient-rich foods to surviving on grain-based gruel that led to deficiencies and literally rotted our teeth out. And the biggest new danger? One bad drought, one swarm of locusts, and your entire village just starved. Okay, let's jump forward to number 3. If you were born in the 13th century, you weren't just staring at the sky worrying about rain. You were staring at the horizon, terrified of a cloud of dust. This was the age of the Mongol invasions. Led by Genghis Khan, they carved out the biggest land empire in history, using a strategy that was just terrifyingly simple and brutally effective. They'd show up incredibly fast, hit unbelievably hard, and leave absolutely nothing standing. Entire cities were just erased from the map. And get this, they'd sometimes use any survivors as human shields for the next city they attacked. I mean, the scale of this is just, it's hard to wrap your head around. Historians figure the Mongol invasions killed around 10% of the entire world's population. 1 in every 10 people on the planet. Gone. And your ancestor was one of the 9 who wasn't.
So our runner-up, number 2 on the list of worst times to be born. This wasn't an army you could see coming. No, this was a silent, invisible killer that just ripped through civilization like a biological forest fire.
In 1347, Europe got a terrible delivery from Central Asia, brought by fleas hiding out on the backs of rats. The Black Death arrived in a world that had absolutely zero concept of germs or hygiene. Survival became, quite literally, a roll of the dice. And this chart, wow, it really shows you the sheer devastation. In just a few years, it's estimated that the plague wiped out between 30 and 60% of everyone in Europe. Think about that for a second. In some places, more than half the people you knew would just be gone, in a flash.
The culprit was this nasty little bacterium called Yersinia pestis. It was just awful. Fever, vomiting blood, these giant swollen sores. And it was so easy to catch. You could get it from a handshake, a shared cup, or just by being in the wrong room at the wrong time. And yet somehow, in all that chaos, your ancestor made it through.
And that brings us to number 1. The absolute worst, most terrifying, most how did anyone survive this period in all of human history? This wasn't a war. It wasn't a plague. This was when the sun went out.
About 74,000 years ago, a supervolcano in what's now Indonesia, called Toba, exploded. And when I say exploded, I mean with a force 1,000 times bigger than anything we've seen in modern history. This one event didn't just change the world, it almost hit the delete button on the entire human race.
Toba threw so much ash into the atmosphere that it literally blocked out the sun. Not for a day or a week, for years. It kicked off a volcanic winter that sent global temperatures plummeting by nearly 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, can you imagine? Plants died. Animals that ate the plants died. Entire ecosystems just collapsed.
And this is the most chilling number of all. It's estimated the entire human population on Earth shrank to fewer than 3,000 individuals. Total. That's it. A genetic bottleneck so tight that every single person alive today, all 8 billion of us, we descend from that tiny, freezing, starving handful of survivors.
So forget fighting a mammoth. Just try to imagine living your entire life in this cold, gray twilight, freezing, starving, and with the constant, nagging fear that today might actually be the last day anyone on Earth ever sees the sun again. And yet, somehow, they endured. Which brings it all back to you. From the volcanic winter of Toba, through the Black Death, past the Mongol hordes, all the way back to surviving a scraped knee in the Ice Age. That unbreakable chain of ancestors held on. They survived everything the world could possibly throw at them. You are the finish line of a 100,000-year-long survival race you didn't even know was being run. You aren't just lucky. You are the literal miracle that your ancestors fought mammoths and plagues and starvation for. Their impossible survival became your existence, so the only real question left is, what are you going to do with it?